How you doing today, guys? Today I'm reviewing my Stihl ms660 chainsaw. This saw is 91.6 cc's. It makes 7.1 horsepower and it weighs 16.3 pounds. I got all that information from Stihl's International website because they don't make this saw here anymore. This is the remake of this is the 661. So take that data as you may. I had to convert some things from kilowatts as well as from kilograms. This is a professional chainsaw that Stihl makes. It directly competes with the Husqvarna 395 as well as the Husqvarna 390. What I can do here is, now that we got the technical stuff out of the way, I can bring the camera in and we can take a look at this chainsaw. Just to state beforehand, I do have a 32-inch bar on here. It's 50 gauge 3/8. What I would recommend with this saw isn't running anything bigger than 42 inches, just because anything bigger than that I would suggest running on an MS880, but that's just me. That's my opinion. Now I'll bring the camera in and we can take a look at it. Okay, to start with this chainsaw, it's primarily magnesium construction like many of the other Stihl Professional line chainsaws. The handlebars are aluminum, and besides that, there's really not much more to the construction. It does use rubber anti-vibe mounts instead of all the newer saws using or converting over to spring mounts, which is a little bit smoother, but it has more play. So this saw feels much more firm in the hand, but you'll get a little bit more vibration back to the user. It has Stihl's Elasto Start, which, if you don't know what that is, basically the pull cord is then molded into a piece of rubber which connects to the pull handle, so if you do hit the saw on a compression stroke, it won't pull you as hard. It gives you a little bit of play in there, which is a nice feature. Most of the professional lines have it. I believe their pull saws don't, though. The saw does have a decompression valve because it is in a larger 90 cc class saw, so it does help when you're pulling. You can see here it's not very difficult to pull it. This saw does not have Stihl's quick flip caps, which is a good thing in my opinion, because I've had ground crew members give me saws after they fill them up, and bottom line, you can sometimes get full of bar oil or gasoline, which never makes for a good day. My pants have been stained multiple times. This saw does have a clear gas tank, so you can see how much fuel you have in there. Right now you can see we're running on fumes, just like everyone in Mexico. There's no gasoline right now. That's your world news update of the day. This saw does have Stihl's HD airflow system. The main problem, in my opinion, is that you can see here this air filter. I did not clean it before the video, and it's extremely dirty. It's got, large particulates, and that's one thing that Husqvarna, in my opinion, does better with the air injection. It uses the flywheel to clean the air. So if Stihl could do that, I think they're doing it to some of their newer saws, it would be better, so I got to clean this later. These HD air filters do have the felt on the outside and then a cloth on the inside around the plastic, so it does make them easier to clean. You can see here on the inside, this does have a cold weather shutter, so you can flip this piece of plastic, pop it out with your T-wrench, and then put it in the bottom, and that'll allow for different times of the year without having to adjust the carburetor as much. Off to my next thing. I'm just going to put this here for cosmetic purposes. To my next thing, you have Stihl's quick operator lever. So all the way down would be full choke. Then you pop it up when you're starting. That's your half choke position. And then when you're done, you can click the throttle. It'll take you up to run. And then up is off. And it does have your basic two-way operator lever and throttle, which allows for you to, safety, if you won't hit the throttle. All the newer professional saws, all the chainsaws, have this. On this side, you can take a look here, and this does have carburetor adjustments because this is not an M-tronic saw. You got your high, your low, and then your tune at the bottom. You can see this cutout right here as well as this little image. This allows for the heated handle. So in the factory, you'll have a switch in here, that way your handles are warmed up for colder climates. You can see here it does have two large falling spikes, and then you do have the option, there's a hole drilled so you can put one of those plastic pin chain catches with the metal rod in the center to allow for you to have a more heavy-duty chain catch than the aluminum one that it comes with, which seemed to always break off. I'm surprised this one has it. Now I'm going to take the sprocket and bar and chain cover off so you can take a look at The clutch design, which this saw, just to reveal beforehand, does have an inboard clutch. It does have 2 bar studs with the typical larger steel bar nuts that these larger saws have. They're non-captive like the newer saws, but that's not a big deal if you're paying attention. So you can see in here, it does have plastic wear plates, and it's an extremely smooth design, so you don't get very much buildup, just some smaller particulates when when the bar and chain oil clogs them up like that. I would prefer if it had a larger dust flat, but it does have this small one right here. This does protect if you get a chain fly off, it won't crack this. Now I can take the bar and chain off here. You can see the saw does have a rim sprocket. This one's 3/8. You can change it out to 404 or whatever you may like. Inboard clutch, so all your chain brake and everything. Assembly's on the inside right here. You can take these clips off. That's easier to work on in the field than an outboard clutch, which that again is relative too. If you have a T-wrench and a hammer, you can take an outboard clutch off. You have your oil belly right here. That way, lubricate your bar and chain, obviously. It does have an adjustable oil pump, like many of the larger commercial saws, so you can adjust it down here with the little orange wrench, screwdrivers, that Stihl includes. Like I said, aluminum chain catch. Here's your inner falling spike. You got a side chain tensioner, which is great, much better than the Husqvarna. Front chain tensioner for the 395. Basic muffler design like every other 660. You can take the cover off of the muffler very easily with these 4 Torx bolts. Makes for great, it's easier to modify. Overall, this saw is a great chainsaw in my opinion. I don't run it with anything bigger than a 32-inch bar. You could run it with, a 42-inch bar, in my opinion, would be the limit. But if the saw is not ported or anything like that. It's extremely light. It's a nimble saw. You can get full wrap handles if you're into that kind of thing. In the Midwest here, you don't see that much of that. That's more of a West Coast thing. But like I was saying, this saw overall is a fantastic chainsaw. They're made extremely well, obviously. You would expect that from anything that Stihl makes. Even their homeowner chainsaws are great chainsaw, much better than something like a Poulin. So, in my opinion, I would buy another one of these chainsaws. The big thing about buying these is depending on where your dealer is and what's closest to you and who services you better, because like anything, if you can't fix it on your own, you're going to have to send it out to them to fix it. And if they're, they like to take their time or they're not very helpful and they're not good with warranty work, it's not even worth it. So that would be my number one thing. I would buy another one. I actually got this one at a pawn shop for like $500, which is a great deal, obviously, because it's in decent condition for being a used chainsaw. So if you have any other questions for the saw, you can definitely leave a comment down below. And then, that's my review of this chainsaw. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Have a great rest of the day.